Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, let's return to where we began tonight, the politics of the Labour Party and Jeremy Corbyn's reshuffle. You'd think that shunting people around the cabinet or shadow cabinet table should be relatively easy. Can't be harder than coming up with a seating plan for an Islington dinner party, can it? Well, history suggests it is harder than it looks. It's multi-dimensional. And given the paucity of women in most cabinets and shadow cabinets, it certainly isn't as simple as a case of boy-girl configuration. So let's think about the gender issue facing Mr Corbyn more carefully. Aisha Hazarika, who you heard from earlier, was special advisor to Harriet Harman and has made a short film on the subject for us based on her conversations with senior Labour figures.
Women have been key to the success of the Labour Party since its birth. Strong female figures have served the party as MPs, cabinet ministers and deputy leaders. And I believe that Labour's the only party that has really, truly championed policies that have made a difference to women's lives. Since our new leader, Jeremy Corbyn, was elected, I think there is a problem with women in the Labour Party. We have a male leader, a male deputy leader, a male general secretary, all our mayoral candidates are male. And here we are in 2016, and we still haven't managed to ever elect a female leader of our party. Until recently, I was a Labour special advisor working for former deputy leader Harriet Harman.
Right, you get in the car and I'll let you get in first.
I invited Harriet to relive the glory days of pink transportation in the very special Newsnight limo.
Harriet, thank you so much for coming. Do you like the pink limo?
I think it's absolutely marvellous, and if it's pink, I'm here.
And does it remind you of fond memories of the pink bus?
It does. They would have been fonder memories if we'd have actually won the election.
How does it make you feel that we have an all-male sweep at the top of the Labour Party?
Well, I just think we can't have a men-only leadership when we are the party for women and for equality. And women in this country expect to see men and women working together on equal terms. That's what the Labour Party believes in. And we can't have an all-male leadership again, and therefore we'll have to change the rules.
So you would like to see the rules changed?
Yes, to stop there being an all-male leadership.
And in terms of your advice or your hope for the women in the PLP and the many women in the shadow cabinet, we shouldn't overlook the fact that we have 50-50 in the shadow cabinet. What do you want to see them do?
The truth is that women's rights are never going to be taken forward by men in the party, whether they are men on the left, whether they're men on the centre or men on the right. The truth is it's women in the party, Labour women, that will take forward women's rights. And even though we haven't got any women in the top leadership, that makes it even more important for them to put themselves forward and, you know, be proponents for women in this country.
One of the party's new MPs, Jess Phillips, aims to do just that. But she's concerned that others aren't putting up enough of a fight.
I thought we'd sort of do old Labour beer and sandwiches. What do you think?
Thanks very much.
Nice.
Looks good.
Do you think the culture within the Labour Party has changed? Do you think it has become more misogynistic?
What I think is more worrying about the culture in the Labour Party is very left-wing feminists are putting up with a lot more than they would have from any other man because Jeremy Corbyn's saying it. Had Tony Blair not given any of the top jobs to a woman, had that same makeup of his team existed, people would rightly have been up in arms, but it's sort of a bit like some people in the Labour Party are accepting sort of low-level non-violent misogyny because it's Jeremy doing it.
Do you ever think about a shot at the title at some point in the future?
Yes, absolutely. I would consider doing it a long time in the future. It's not something I'm planning on doing anytime soon, but it's absolutely something that I would do in the future, yeah.
Over the summer, 6 great women went for the leader and deputy roles, and none were successful. The current Labour shadow cabinet does have more women than men, which is to be welcomed. The Shadow Women and Equalities Minister is Kate Green. She's been looking at what can be done to make sure we don't ever again have an all-male team.
It's no discredit whatsoever to Jeremy or to Tom or to Sadiq, who fought up a very, very fair campaign and won, that we ended up with an all-male lineup. But I'll tell you what it made me feel instantly, and I think many, many other women like me, once and for all now, we have to make sure this can never happen again.
There's another potential problem looming for Labour women in Westminster: the forthcoming changes to constituency boundaries, which would reduce the party's number of seats. This is likely to create a battle for the ones that remain. The chair of the Women's Parliamentary Labour Party, Dawn Butler, believes that those held by women should be protected.
With these boundary changes, it will be a fight, literally a fight. And my fear is that women will be picked off. And so that's a really big fear for me. So I've written to the leader and the deputy leader, because Tom is doing the review on how the party structures work, etc. And so, yes, absolutely. And it's a huge worry for me.
The kind of long-term changes that Labour women want will take time to introduce, but some changes are happening right now. Tonight, it's all about the reshuffle. My strong advice to Jeremy is, if you want to shake things up for the better, make sure that women get some of those top positions in the shadow cabinet. It cannot just be jobs for the boys.
Well, Aisha is still with us, and we're also joined by Cat Smith, the Shadow Minister for Women. Evening to you both. Cat Smith, does Jeremy Corbyn get an easy time on this simply because he comes from a more left-wing part of the political spectrum?
No, I think it's right that we ask all our politicians what they're doing to promote gender equality in the party. And I think Jeremy Corbyn's really set the standard by having a shadow cabinet that's more than 50% made up out of women, when the rest of the party also has some way to go. If we look at the constituency party chairs, about a third of them are women. If we look at Labour leaders in local government, that's a long way lagging behind the Parliamentary Labour Party, and these are the important issues we should be addressing.
So you're accepting to some extent that the party has a problem. You're just saying Jeremy Corbyn doesn't personally have one.
I would say that it's not just the Labour Party. I'd say that society has a problem with promoting women into positions of responsibility. Sexism exists, patriarchy exists, and it operates in the Labour Party as much as it operates in any other political party or any other sphere of society.
Would you like, in the reshuffle, Jeremy Corbyn to put a woman in one of the top jobs?
I'd ask a question, well, what do you think the top jobs are? Because the role of an opposition is to hold the government to account for the spending decisions they make. And if you look at, say, for example, health and education are the second and third biggest spending departments where we already have women. I'd like to see continue to see a shadow cabinet that's a majority women in the way that it already is.
Aisha, this concern with the top jobs, as opposed to the number of people in the cabinet the sitting around the table, it's pretty recent, isn't it? Tony Blair didn't have a woman in one of those top, what we traditionally call the top jobs, until 2006. Been in power 9 years when he put Margaret Beckett into the Foreign Office.
But we always want to feel that we're making progress in the Labour Party. The Labour Party has been the party for women, and we've prided ourselves in making progress. But it doesn't. It wasn't Jeremy's fault that the party elected a clean sweep of men at the top. But we've got, as I said in the film, everyone at the top, in terms of where the power lies, are men.
Well, you're being a bit churlish, aren't you? I mean, more than half the cabinet are women. You've got women in some of the key jobs, if not the top jobs.
If those jobs are so not important, then what I think Jeremy should do is do a job swap with Angela Eagle and John McDonnell, because if all the jobs are equally of merit, then why don't we see Angela Eagle do a job swap? She's already proved herself very ably in the House of Commons against George Osborne. She's got hands-on experience of being in the Treasury. But I think in politics, symbols matter. And at the top of the party, we had Harriet as the deputy leader for a long time. Now we don't have that. That's not Jeremy's fault. But he has to really think about how he can look to sort of address the concerns that lots of women and activists have in the party. And one of the important things about politics, and we all know this, there are brilliant women in the shadow cabinet, in the front bench, and MPs. But how power is allocated in the party is a very different matter. And actually, the bunker around Jeremy Corbyn is very male as well. A lot of the...
You must, that is true.
About the power in the Labour Party. The power is in the hands of the members who elected Jeremy Corbyn as leader of the Labour Party, and they elected Tom Watson as the deputy leader, and they elected Sadiq Khan.
But it must be very disappointing, because there were plenty of women candidates for these things. There were strong women candidates.
Some of whom I backed in these elections. And it's the will of the membership, and the membership gave Jeremy Corbyn a clear mandate, bigger than Tony Blair's mandate when he was elected leader.
He definitely has a big mandate, and he's not afraid to use it in many ways. But he also has the power of appointment, and we all know that those top jobs are important. And I think it does look bad for the Labour Party to not have a single one of those 4 top jobs held by a woman when we have got so many able and
that's
talented
really
women.
the decision of the members, though, wasn't it?
It's not. The members, but the members don't choose the shadow
we'll
cabinet.
And the shadow cabinet is the majority women.
What looks bad, though, is that the Conservative Party, which doesn't pride itself on these issues in quite the same way as Labour does, actually did provide, how many decades ago was it, 1975? A woman Prime Minister, a woman leader and then a woman Prime Minister. That must rankle Cat Smith, doesn't it?
Not particularly. I think that Margaret Thatcher being the Prime Minister showed that when you put one woman in a position of power, that doesn't necessarily shift the culture of a party. For instance, the Conservative Party's cabinet is made up, I think, of 32% women. So despite having a woman Prime Minister in 1979, they haven't made the progress the Labour Party's made by doing it collectively, with women coming together and organising.
We need to leave it there. Aisha, thanks for the film. Thanks both very much.
I've been getting away with it all my